Hey everyone, we've got a second 15-minute deep dive for you from the Cardinal experts. This time I've got with us Dylan Youngs, Associate Media Director. Dylan is running some of our biggest, highest spending paid search accounts. And one of the things that we see as a common thread when we're taking over new client accounts is that conversion data is critical. So setting that foundation, getting the right signals passing in. I'm not the expert here, Dylan is. So Dylan, I'm going to hand the baton over to you. I know you're going to walk the team through some real examples of why this matters. And I'll see you guys on the other side.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, Dylan Youngs, Associate Media Director here. I'm going to talk about how to boost your performance with robust conversion data. Not just talking about overall lead volume, but also collecting the right data to help you kind of scale and drive performance in your ad accounts. So just kind of on a broad level of what we're going to talk about is why conversions matter, giving platforms what they need. So Google does an excellent job of converting people, but you also have to kind of drive or steer a little bit. Also talking a little bit about bidding strategies, what's worked in the past and what works now. Being compliant in healthcare. I know based on the poll a little earlier, that might not be as important as some people made it be, but we'll kind of cover that a little bit. We'll also jump into a case study. We'll talk a little bit about beyond conversions and what else to monitor besides your leads and conversions. We'll cover some takeaways, and then we'll end it with a Q&A if we have time. I know this is going to be a short and sweet one, though, so we'll just get right into it. So a question that we get asked a lot by a lot of new clients is, why do my leads suck? I know a lot of our clients are spending tens of thousands of dollars, or if not hundreds of thousands of dollars each month on their ad platforms, and they're getting leads that are not qualified. It can be a waste of money and a lot of wasted time, I think, for the people who have to deal with those leads. So to kind of start some problem areas that we see is that you have to steer the machine. So Google does a great job, as I was mentioning, collecting the leads that you want, but you have to actually tell Google what you're looking for and optimize around those leads that you want to turn them into bookings and stuff like that. So some common problem areas that we see is giving the platform the wrong leads and treating leads all the same, whether it's a booking, a form submit, a phone call, stuff like that. You actually have to tell Google what you want to track and what's most valuable to you. Not utilizing features like smart bidding, so around target CPAs, value-based conversions, etc. We've also seen a lot of people running outdated bidding strategies. So something that they've set 5 years ago and they're still running the same bidding strategies. They haven't changed anything over. And talking about a little bit about those bidding strategies, and then also optimizing and giving some things time. So maybe not 5 years time, but giving some things time, because if you're changing bidding strategies, you're changing budgets too often, Google's going to get a little confused of what to do with a lot of the data. So we always recommend optimizing and giving it time. Not all conversions are created equal. Primary conversions that we really focus on are new patients that are booked. Those are our top priority. New patient leads. So still high quality, but still need a little bit of nurturing, but it's also showing pretty good intent. And then form submissions. You might not get leads or booked leads from all form submissions, but they're still pretty valuable here. Secondary conversions that you still might want to track: first-time interactions, downloadable resources like ebooks, guides, PDFs, etc. And also people signing up for your live webinars, sign up, stuff like that. So once you kind of determine what your conversion actions are that you find valuable, you also want to be able to determine the lead to patient rate. So for example, here, if a conversion action like we have is a call that we can assume is someone that is booked and that is going to be coming into the office. And if your average revenue is $2,000 per booking, your conversion value can be $2,000 as well. Whereas maybe a form submission, you've learned that your lead to patient conversion rate is around 25%. Putting your conversion value around $500 versus $2,000. And then you might find that calls from ads are the lowest quality and you're only converting 10% from lead to patient. So your conversion value is around $200. So for this example, your average conversion value is right around $900. You can still track the secondary conversions like first-time interactions, webinar signups, PDF downloads, but you can set those as secondary conversions so Google doesn't really go after them. But if you're using the top conversions here as an example, you know that your conversion value is around $900 per conversion. So if you tell Google and set your bidding strategy as a target cost per acquisition around $750, Google's algorithm is going to try to get those booked leads for around $750. That gives you kind of a little bit more room to be able to find leads through Google that you're still going to be able to convert to bookings. Um, what we recommend is that after about 30 days or so, seeing if you can start squeezing that CPA a little bit more. So you might want to start at 750 if your primary conversion value is around $900. And then you might want to start trying to walk it back from 750 to 700, 650, 600, etc. At some point, you're probably going to hit a little bit of a cap. So we don't want to lower it, and Google's not going to give you conversions for or bookings for $20. But we can kind of test different bidding strategies around setting target cost per acquisitions and lowering those throughout some time. So privacy first. I will mention that I am not a lawyer, so we recommend talking to your lawyers first, but we have found some pretty good ways to be able to track all the conversions. I know this was being kind of mentioned in Alex Kemp's talk a little bit earlier, but using HIPAA compliant software is really, really important. This protects patient privacy, takes all the protected health information outside of the lead so that you can secure that lead collection and then also be able to feed that back into the platform, such as Google Ads, without any of that personal health information being attached to any of those leads. And then also, most importantly, too, is performance reporting. So making sure that any of the reporting that you are going back to does not have any of the personal health information as well. So the way that we sort of do that is by building a data ecosystem and using some proxies to be able to get conversion actions into our marketing technology and then getting those leads from the marketing technology back into our platforms. So the way that we do that is if we have conversion actions coming from your website, someone clicks an ad, say they're looking for a physical therapist near me, they click an ad, they go to the site, they might make a phone call, fill out a form, one of those, and they get to your site, and all that information is being tracked inside of your into your platforms. We want to make sure that all that data is flowing from your marketing technology and your CRMs back into the platforms to be able to track. So it's very important to make sure that you're using HIPAA compliant systems like that. If you have any questions, we can also, I believe, at the end of the day tomorrow, we're going to be covering a little bit of that. So to go to the next, to show some conversions in action, going to run through a little bit of a case study. We had a client come to us and their platform, their Google ads were a little bit all over the place. So the first step that we kind of took was to assess which ad groups and campaigns were driving the highest quality leads. Also using their CRM integration that I just mentioned and figuring out how to use the leads that were coming in the platform and going into their CRM, what was actually driving bookings. And then driving that back into the Google Ads platform, we were able to A/B test some new ad copy to see what was most relevant to audience segments. We also launched new targeting strategies focused on high converters, and then changed our bid strategy from max clicks to target CPA. This helped us drive down our cost per lead within the first 60 days. We also introduced new channels. So we introduced programmatic and we did an SEO campaign for a full funnel approach here. And what we saw after the first 3 months was their ad spend was around $50,000 with their cost per lead around $300 and their bookings around $1,200 per booking. And by implementing the full funnel strategy and also implementing some of the target CPAs that I mentioned and new ad copy, testing landing pages, stuff like that, we did see a slightly lower lead to booking ratio from 25% to 20%. But overall, we were able to drive an increased amount of leads at a lower cost per lead and also an increased amount of bookings with a lower cost per booking. So while our lead to booking conversion ratio decreased a little bit, we were still able to cut the cost per lead by 47%, the cost per booking by 33%, and overall we're able to drive more leads for the client after about 3 months of doing some of these tests and optimizing around what was working, what wasn't. So to talk a little bit about beyond conversions. So I know, in a perfect world, we would be able to just keep telling Google to lower those cost per acquisitions and lower the cost per acquisitions month over month over month. But there are things that do have an effect on your cost per lead that is outside of just your normal day-to-day and optimizations. One being seasonality. Sometimes we see the summer months doing really well for some of our clients, and then November, December sort of hits, and we start seeing the cost per lead start increasing. So it's something to think about when you are planning your yearly budget, what months you might see some seasonality year over year, and how to budget appropriately in your campaigns. Also competitors. Google Ads has what's called auction insights. You can monitor some competitors that are entering the space, maybe competitors that are increasing their budgets, and talk about when you might need to be increasing your budgets alongside your competitors. Also impression share, seeing how often you're showing up compared to what the users are searching. So if you only have a 20% search impression share and you're only showing up 20% of the time, people are Googling the keywords that we're bidding on. Figuring out how to increase that from 20% to maybe 40, 50, 60% by analyzing the data, maybe removing some keywords that are not performing very well, tightening your geos, stuff like that. And then again, going back to testing. So we want to test landing pages, we want to test ad copy, we want to test different keywords, and making sure that we're optimizing around what is working, but also again, giving things some time. So some key action steps here is one, determining your lead to booking conversion ratio per conversion action that you're trying to use and optimize towards. Two, get granular with your tracking. You might want to be tracking everything from button clicks on your website to people going to your social pages to watching videos on your website, all the way to, the lead volume and people actually booking. And then lastly is optimize and give it some time. I said that in the beginning, but it's really important to make sure that you're not throwing Google's algorithm off by making too many budget changes too quickly, making too many changes around different bidding strategies, and letting the algorithm kind of take some time to be able to learn around what bidding strategies is in place, the conversions that you've put in place, and the budgets that you have as well. So I believe we have about 2 minutes. If there are questions in the chat, which I believe I can see here, I can answer some. Otherwise, I think I'll probably be cut off in about 2 minutes. So yes, Dylan, not a lawyer. Got it. Make sure that is remembered. But it doesn't look like there are too many questions specifically. So I think we'll probably save that for the end of tomorrow.